We are watching and monitoring right now the hearing that is taking place with the Foreign Affairs Committee on Capitol Hill about the Afghanistan exit. It was very chaotic. It was deadly. A lot of questions still remain about what took place, and not many answers necessarily provided, at least not very many good ones. It's a good day to have Jim Carafano on the show with us. He is a senior counselor to the President, Heritage Foundation, and E.W. Richardson Fellow for International Engagement. Jim, welcome back to the show. It's good to have you here today.
I offered the Biden administration a while ago, but there was a way out of this that would have been better for the administration, and that is they should have just had an independent, nonpartisan thing like the 9/11 Commission, and just say, hey, look at this, tell us what we did right, what we did wrong. And make it a learning lesson, because you can't undo stupid, right? There's no way you're going to go back and fix this. But you're early in your presidency. You've made a major blunder. It's obvious to the world. And if you really want it to be bipartisan, nonpartisan, we're better than the last guys. Lift the skirt, as they say. Let people see what happened. Take your hits, your critiques. Treat it as a lesson learned experience and move forward. But they didn't do that. Instead, they went out and they just lied and they said, everything is perfect, not my fault, I'm just brilliant, right? And then they said, we will just cover this up forever. And and that was the plan. And it's a stupid plan, because now what's going to happen is all this stuff is coming out in the worst possible time when your poll numbers are underwater and everybody thinks you're a loon, and you're facing re-election.
The majority of this hearing has taken place while we've been on the air this afternoon here so far. Have you been able to listen to it?
No, I'm actually in Warsaw.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's a good reason.
Yeah. And here people are talking about the most important relationship we have with the United States. Win, lose, or draw, we have to figure out how we can go forward as America as a partner. So we need to talk about that. But I got to tell you, here, people think Trump's going to win.
Really?
I mean, and it was hard to get people to say, well, look, we don't know who the next president's going to be. But everybody said, okay, so when Trump's president, here's what you guys need to do. It's crazy.
Well,
anyway,
Joe Biden was talking about being in Europe, and he's the one who publicly said, these leaders are taking me aside by the arm and saying, you can't win again. I don't really understand why he would say that out loud, although I guess there are some practical common sense answers as why he would say that out loud.
Well, look, I mean, let's be honest. Nobody cares what Europeans think, right? And I think if somebody says, like this is a badge of honor, right? But if first of all, I doubt that that's true. I actually don't. I think he actually lied. I do believe that they all think he's going to lose. What I think is a lie that any of them would say that to his face.
Yeah. If you're saying that you're in Poland and they're talking about when the likelihood of Donald Trump being elected, is the world shifting day by day as we get closer to November? And then, of course, the following January, should Donald Trump win? Is the world shifting how they're approaching the many conflicts that are in progress right now?
People are thinking about, where is the future going to go and what does that mean and what to expect. So I actually listened on a panel today. There was a Polish parliamentarian who actually got up and gave what I thought was a perfect assessment of a Donald Trump presidency and what that means for Europe. And I was shocked because I've never heard that. I haven't heard from Americans, let alone from a European. But he was basically, I'm not partisan, I'm not Republican, don't care who you vote for or whatever. I'm just telling you what I heard today, right? So here's a guy who gets up and basically said, I'm paraphrasing, but he says, let me explain to you why Donald Trump is going to be better for Europe and better for Poland. And Joe Biden is, I think, very risky for us and a very shaky leader and not good for Poland or Europe. And I think he was right. And I'm not saying that because, I'm a Trump supporter. I'm saying that because that's my assessment as well. But this goes, counterintuitive to the complete narrative, which, Trump is the end of the world as we know it and everything. And here's a European politician basically saying, I'm saying in public, that Trump's going to be good for Poland, which I think is, and this is, and not by saying that he's going to be any different than he's always been. He's just saying that a president that puts America's interests first understands the value of our relationship, of what Poland does for the United States, of what we can do together, and that's going to serve us well. Shocking to hear.
Yeah. You're talking about how these foreign countries are talking about how a Trump presidency would be good for them. And I'm sitting here thinking, who is Joe Biden really good for? Because it doesn't feel like, as a consumer, as a taxpayer, as a voter myself, it doesn't feel like he's what's best for me as an American. Who do you think Joe Biden is good for?
Well, look, first of all, I don't know if I ever told the story to anybody. So I once stayed with some very lovely people that are basically the backyard neighbors of Joe Biden. And this is long before, he was vice president. He was just senator. And he goes, everybody in the neighborhood hates him. And they say he never pays his bills. Like you have, plumbers, the gardeners, they can't get him to actually pay his bills. And that's my entire view of Joe Biden is based on that conversation.
Yeah.
That a guy that is too cheap to pay the hardworking people that come to his house and do stuff, that's a person you can never trust. So the trust. So the first thing, which is Biden has always been about Joe Biden and taking care of Joe Biden and the people around him. It's always been about him. He is a selfish, self-centered person. Greedy and not power hungry. I don't think Joe Biden's actually power hungry. I think he always aspired to power, so he kept running for president. But he was greedy, and it was about Joe. Biden got picked to be vice president because it was, you had Obama. It was a fresh face. They wanted a Washington insider that everybody trusted, and harmless Joe seemed great. And then nobody wanted Joe Biden to be president in 2020, but you had this whole roster of yahoos there, and it was basically Biden by default because he had been a pretty innocuous vice president. He was a safe choice. They run Biden again because they really don't have anybody else to run. So Biden is happy to be a sock puppet for the Democratic establishment because it's good for Joe Biden, and that's. I think when they write the honest history of this president, that's what they're going to find.
It's a really interesting story because you can really tell something about someone by how they act when they're not really on the public stage, and it's a pretty telling story. Jim Carafano with us right now with the Heritage Foundation. I am paying attention to the southern border as we always are, and I keep seeing these news reports of those who are coming across the southern border that are on the terrorist watch list. It's really outrageous to think how open the border is, how willful Joe Biden is to conflate the issue of the fact that we have people flooding into this country, and then his solution is to smooth out the process to come into this country. And we've talked about this before, but I think it's worthy of repeating this question to you. How much danger are everyday Americans in with this southern border open the way that it is right now?
Well, I mean, your show is not long enough to go through everything from the crime to the costs to the impact it has on community, but to the potential for terrorism and everything else, and transnational crime. But as I said before, the number one thing is now we are now establishing regularized routes of illegal migration to the United States from all over the world. So we are open up to weapons of mass migration, which is any authoritarian regime could basically flood this country with immigrants if they wanted to at a time and place that's not convenient for us. And the other thing is if millions of people are going to come here, they're going to outnumber the people that are here legally. And there's two really bad things about all this. One is we're destroying the legitimacy of legal migration and genuine asylum and refugee claims. That is absolutely being destroyed. And so one of the other interesting conversations I had here in Poland is the difference between legal migration and illegal migration, like completely getting lost. I mean, here, Poland has taken in millions of Ukrainians. They are refugees. They came here legally. and they integrate and work very well in the Polish society, and it has been a mark of both humanity and of what you do when you do a legal, responsible system. What we're doing in the United States is we're conflating illegal and legal migration, and we're making it sound like it doesn't really matter, right? And as long as we just want to create a train for people to come in here, and it's unsustainable. I mean, literally, okay, I get it. Everybody isn't somebody, right? So you can't take one person and say, well, this is emblematic of everything. Oh my God, this person did a crime, therefore everybody with that last name is a criminal. But when every single day you hear about a person that committed a crime, which was a known criminal that they let in, or was arrested 17 times and they let in, that at some point, when do all these little, 1,000 points of light become a pattern? That we are intentionally turning a blind eye to letting criminals come into this country to defend this principle of mass migration, which is unsustainable and destructive for this country.
Last question before we let you go. I want to bring up the topic of Haiti, because with this immigration breakdown that we have in our country and the complete disarray of what's taking place in Haiti right now, from my understanding is that there are, 1,000 Americans that are in Haiti trying to get out. Some people are correlating the exit of Afghanistan and Biden's unwillingness to go get those Americans out. I don't know if that's the same at all. What do you want people to know about what's going on in Haiti and how that impacts the United States?
Well, look, I mean, we're going to have a mass flood here of Haitian people, and we're going to have a massive flood of criminal immigration from Haiti. So it would be a big thing if it wasn't on top of, it's like there's a forest fire and then coming at you and your house burned down. I mean, that's where we are. I mean, it would be a manageable problem if we had a manageable system.
Yeah.
And now but we have an unmanageable, and it's just one more crisis on top of a already kind of insurmountable series of crises.
Jim, one day you and I will have a conversation full of positive news.
Right.
It's not going to be today, but we are trying to fix the problems and address the problems as they come. That's how you make them better, and we're always grateful for your
look. I mean, I'm here in Poland with a lot of conservatives that see the world just like we do, and the fact that people see this and that we need to make a choice in our lives. Do we want to continue down the road of chaos, or do we want to choose to live in a different world? I'm optimistic, right? People have a choice. I don't think anything's better than you have a choice, a clear choice. And that's a good reason for optimism. Right.
I agree. Not putting your head in the sand doesn't solve anything, for sure. And we never have that problem with you.
It solves breathing.
True, if that's your problem. Jim, thank you. Love talking to you. Travel safely. Senior counselor to the president and E.W. Richardson Fellow for International Engagement at the Heritage Foundation, Jim Carafano, our friend here, and grateful he always gives us his time. From Warsaw, Poland,